This is gonna be the best day ever. This is gonna be the best day ever. Wake up, top of the morning. The bacon is crispy, the coffee is pouring. My meditation is peeling an orange. The bank says I'm already scoring. I got a parking spot right outside. Step into my brand new ride. All we ever get is green lights and blue skies. This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh. I can't get no better. Baby, I'm a T-Rex, ready to rumble, ready to flex. I'm making it a jungle. Gonna be the best. Shake up.
You deserve the moon. Wish I could bring it home to you. Baby, you deserve the moon.
Ducati have made a commitment to become dirt focused, and a mid-sized twin, the Desert X, is their first foray into the dirt. The Ducati Desert X promises a world jam-packed with challenging dirt adventure. But for most mere mortals, they'll be riding tracks and trails like this, and what they expect from a bike are things like reliability, reasonable handling, rider comfort, carrying capacity, fuel range, the ability to do some minor maintenance themselves, for example air filter, chains and brakes, and a bike that is resilient to damage from slow speed crashes. If you want a review that looks at this bike through the lens of an experienced dirt-oriented adventurer, then you've come to the right place. My name is Dave Darcy. I'm the shooter-producer of Mad TV and editor-at-large at Australian Adventure Bike magazine. I've been riding dirt and adventure bikes for over 50 years, and in my role I get to ride the latest offerings thousands of kilometres. I caution, this is a detailed review of the capability of this bike to take the rider on a dirt-oriented adventure. If you've got the attention span of a rabbit, go somewhere else, or scroll through the chapters to find the topic that rocks your boat. So we'll kick off with a bit of drama and then get into it.
Oh, don't do that! Don't! Fucking hell.
How to win friends and influence them. Here I am at Australia's Ducati Desert X launch, and I nearly crashed two bikes with one rookie error. But there's a reason for this, and we'll get into that in a moment. I've ridden a lot of bikes, and first impressions count. So let's hear what I've got to say from those first few minutes on the bike.
Good. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is my first... I've had a sit on one of these bikes before. I've never actually ridden it. So we're just about to head out for 2 days of riding. And let's see how we go. It's a compact bike. Compact cockpit. Be interesting how that TFT screen, with the portrait, looks quite good, looks tidy in there. Presentation of the bike looks great. Come on, let's go, let's go. Center of gravity feels relatively low. So much going on in my head at the moment. I've ridden so many different bikes, and I'm kind of flicking through this library of experiences and of how different bikes handled, and yeah, I got a feeling, this engine is just still almost brand new, but I just felt the mid-range then, and I thought this is going to have some punch. Well, it's hardly surprising. This engine is now very refined, but it's been around for about 15 years. I think since the last time we spoke, the Unifilter have come through with an air filter for this bike, so you can get a foam oiled air filter, which is just essential for Australian dust. A little bit disappointing, it's an optional extra, whereas some other motorcycle brands just recognise Australian dust as tough, and they give that in the deal when you purchase the bike. But nevertheless, it is there for you. Nick's saying it takes him about 45 minutes to take the tank off to change the air filter. So, you know, if you were taking this out back with a group of riders, I'd be, you know, keeping well away from others and just, you know, being highly cognizant of minimising the amount of dust coming in. So I kept a good air filter. Yeah, you get it up around $6,000, you can feel that's got a very solid mid-range. Like it's really perky and it wants to get going. I love the screen, it's simple. When you go through the different modes, the screen changes, so you actually know what mode you're in because the screen changes in its setting out. But again, like everything on these bikes, it's adjustable. You can just keep the same setting if you like. That's on touring mode at the moment. So the bike is fuel full at the moment, and you know, when I just move from side to side, the centre of gravity feels pretty low. I'm happy with that. I'm loving the riding position. I'm not too far pulled forward by the bars. Let's just try the standing position. Okay, I can tell you now that I could stand on this bike all day. Yeah, that's perfect for me. So on the helmet, in terms of that windshield, it's doing a really good job at 80 k's, not getting any buffeting at all. I can feel the wind pocket, if you like, just up here and around, probably a couple of inches in radius above and around my helmet. Weather's not being kind to us, but hey, on a test that's alright because I've now got it in rain mode, so I'm testing that out. I think it drops it to 70 horsepower. Oh, you could just feel the ABS going on then.
Now, time for what I've been waiting for, the dirt.
This is gonna be the best day ever. This is gonna be the best day ever. Wake up, top of the morning. The bacon is crispy, the coffee is pouring. My meditation is peeling an orange. The bank says I'm already scoring. I got a parking spot right outside. Step into my brand new ride. All we ever get is green lights and blue skies. This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh. I can't get no better, baby.
This was a great spot to get my head around the bike's dirt handling. Being able to repeat a sequence allowed me to listen to the Desert X more effectively. In this first section, I'm on the power in slippery clay, gradually building momentum for 2 low jumps and then a sweeping but slippery right-hand corner that, if you were game, allowed you to back it in and power out before getting heavily on the brakes in an undulating stopping zone. The Pirelli Rally STR tyres were beyond their design limitations, and the bike would have benefited from the more aggressive Scorpions in this terrain. But in many ways this was a good thing, because to keep upright you had to be focused.
How good is that back brake activation?
You liking it?
Mate, I'm coming and backing into the corners. It feels so good.
Got a nice bit of feel?
Absolutely. Like it's, I gotta say for me, it's one of the very pleasurable strengths of the bike. There's not many bikes I come in that hot on that sort of surface with these tyres.
You're going quickly, mate. Looking good.
Transitioning between backing it in and getting on the gas tell me so much about the Ducati and the pedigree of its dirt handling. And it starts with the small but significant things that Ducati have nailed. The feel of the rear Brembo brake through this brake pedal is a real strength of this bike. In this shot you can see me subtly applying the rear brake for maximum effect and setting up for getting on the gas. I instantly feel at home on the Desert X and confident in these slippery conditions. Its low centre of gravity, agility and free revving engine with a powerful yet usable sweet spot between 4,000 to 7,000 revs works in the dirt. At this stage I have the bike in the most powerful rally mode with traction control off and pumping out 110 horsepower at around 9,000 revs. The Desert X easily takes on single trail. It feels light and responsive, and the standing position for my height at 178 centimetres tall is spot on. The standard foot pegs are comfortable and I could stand on them all day. At one stage I got knocked offline but recovered quickly, due in part to the agility of the bike and then again its overall stability. It just responds well to rider input. Into a muddy section and the reasonably low seat height proved its worth, making it easy to paddle. There are a range of seats for this bike that accommodate taller and shorter riders. The engine is responsive, but don't take it too low in the rev range. It doesn't pull hard off the bottom and protests under load. 2,300 revs to 3,000 revs is the engine's happy place for slow trail riding. That said, I took the Desert X on a steep hill climb in second gear and it surprised me.
Okay, let's try it in second to see what this torque's like. God, this engine's a lot torqueier than you think.
The front and rear KYB suspension is fully adjustable with 230mm of travel on the forks and 220mm on the rear. There was a harshness in the initial couple of centimetres of travel of the forks and I attempted to remedy that by reducing the compression damping. The suspension responded to that change in clickers, but it's not quite enough. In fairness to Ducati, the bikes were brand new and suspension components were still running in, and they are expected to become more plush over time. The good news is that one of the bikes on the launch had been running for a longer period and its front suspension felt noticeably more plush. During this dirt test I bottomed the rear suspension a number of times on those low jumps. In fairness, I made no effort to adjust the suspension. That said, the bottoming of the rear shock was controlled. It also highlights another strength of this bike, its excellent 250mm ground clearance, but more on that later. In the slow stuff, I noticed the cooling fan to the radiator came on and blew warm air onto my legs. This unwanted heat would add to rider discomfort on a hot day in difficult riding conditions. Time to start getting my head around the electronics. And let's keep it simple for the time being and just focus on traction control. I select rally mode with the standard setting of traction control on that, as evidenced by this shot, restricts slip perfectly and assists me to negotiate that slippery corner smoothly and in form. No getting loose grabbing a fistful of throttle in this setting. Over the couple of thousand kilometres I've got to ride the Desert X, I can confirm the electronics are class leading, but most importantly thoughtful to ensuring a positive riding experience is had by riders of a wide ranging skill set. But more on that later. Day 2 of the press launch and we're heading into the bush for a typical day of adventure. It's a great opportunity to test the buffeting of that windshield at speed for a prolonged period of time.
And so we're doing 110 k's an hour. The screen has a buffeting that's noticeable. It's minor. It reminds me of the Norden 901 and the Tenere T700. It's about that level of buffeting. Yeah, I mean, okay, an hour or 2 hours on the bike, I think you'd need a rest. Tiny touching on the extremities of the shoulders, but it's not off-putting, and it's but you know it's there. Now, this is the versatility of the bike, you know. It's got great handling on the dirt, and these are more open stuff than we did yesterday. The suspension is still running in, so I'm going to be a bit easy on that at the moment in terms of assessment. But these are brand new bikes. The trail feel isn't as good as what I'd like. That's the first couple of centimetres of the stroke that soak up the soft stuff and help you in terms of not wearing out when you're riding big distances on the dirt. But there's those little tiny bits of undulations that are transferring through the handlebars to me, and Nick tells me that once the bike settles in and the suspension wears in, it's much better. Yeah, due to the rain, there's a lot of sharp-edged erosion mounds and ruts, and there's a lot of damage to the forest and the roads. So we're progressively getting more off the beaten track. And I love the back brake operation. Here we go, let's see how we go with those ruts. Quick shifter on the bike, yeah, in those lower gears it's pretty mechanical and clunky. In the higher gears it's fine, but just got to get used to the sound it makes and the mechanism itself. Now in the rally mode it allows some slide out. I haven't got the traction control off this time, and that's kind of good on trails you're not familiar with. Like you can accelerate hard, but it just maintains that control for you. You felt the suspension was a bit harsh, didn't you, just on the trail feel?
But there today, yeah, that's fucking a different world today.
Yeah.
Different world. There's still some, I understand what you're saying about braking.
Yeah.
I thought that would be happening by now.
Yeah.
If it's just that, you know.
Yeah. I would have thought.
It's a bike that is being developed to be ridden. Yeah. Is my summary of it. Yeah. You don't dilly dally.
Aeroplanes and jet lag days. I've been overseas, you've been out there dreaming of us. Feels a lot like love.
I finished day one convinced the handling of this bike both on and off road were excellent and certainly competitive with the premium models of the opposition. The second I hit the dirt on this bike, I was comfortable and confident to push to limits I usually keep for my own bike and not one I have to pay for if I bin it. Power delivery, traction control, brakes, ergos, suspension are excellent. An incredible effort for Ducati on their first attempt at a dirt-oriented mid-sized twin, and they deserve congratulations. But on day 2, I begin to look at the bike and its capability to take me comfortably into the outback of Australia on an 800 kilometre day. Two things that are emerging from day 2, which is a typical day's adventure, are helmet buffeting at speed and trail feel of the front suspension that at this stage feels too harsh. The third issue will emerge just around this corner. Spoiler alert, if you're a dirt-oriented adventurer or even a cafe racer, I wouldn't leave the showroom without crash bars for this bike.
Pretty soon I'll be flying home to you at the baggage claim. Oh, shouting out your name.
Is everyone alright? Little bit of a drop, Clubby.
Oh, mate, I was right behind Dave, and right on the apex of that left turn, there was this big ghoulie, like half a bowling ball size, and he's just nailed it square on, mate, and tucked the front end straight away, the poor bugger. Like it happened like that.
Yeah.
That's how easily it happens, mate.
Well, it's interesting. I know Dave's alright.
Yeah.
He's walking around. Let's just have a look at the damage though, because that was a fairly decent hit, wasn't it? A big drop.
But I mean, this is the common impact point, mate. Both bikes that have been down on the ride, it's taken the cowling and it's creased the tank right there.
Yeah.
You know, which is where their crash bars protect, mate.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, there's two unreal advertisements for the accessory crash bars.
Yeah, I think you've got to
Absolutely.
get crash bars for the bike, mate.
Yeah,
I think
definitely. Because that's where it's landing on flat ground impacts, yeah.
It's very similar to my.
And the handguard, of course.
Yeah, it's very similar to my. Well, you'd get aluminium handguards.
Oh, yeah, that was busted plastic. It was just gone as soon as it hit the dirt. Yeah. But man, it just shows you how easy it happens, mate.
Yeah.
There was nothing, you know.
Oh,
And
mate,
just a rock
adventure
this
bike.
big.
Yeah.
You hit it, banger.
Just took him out, but I mean, we all drop bikes, and this
Yeah.
is an important bit to the, you know, the understanding of Ducati. Like, I think we're coming out of that with engine bars.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Engine bars, alloy guards.
All right. Well, let's.
Sorry, alloy hand guards.
One of the most non-eventful corners of the whole trip.
Hey Dave, except for the bloody boulder you hit. You made
hit all the boulder.
I saw it, but you know what happens when you see it?
Yeah.
You hit it. But yeah, anyway, whatever.
You nailed it.
Yeah, just the edge of it, enough for it to go.
You deserve the moon. Wish I could bring it home to you. Baby, you deserve the moon.
The next step in this test is to take the bike on a typical 3-day adventure. The Desert X will be in the company of a number of bikes whose owners are very experienced adventurers. No modifications for modification's sake with this lot. If an improvement doesn't improve their rider experience or capability of their bike, it won't happen. The Snowy Ride is a 3-dayer, 2-nighter with no camping. It has a couple of technical bits where lower skilled riders could get their mates to give them a hand. It's a typical ride that many who own adventure bikes in Australia would do. It starts off with a solid 2 hours freeway section before hitting the dirt, and from then on we mainly stay on small country tar or dirt roads. The final day has some great windy and testing tracks. The first day ends with an overnight stay at Tumut. The following night we make Jindabyne our home. 5 o'clock in the morning and we're ready to go. Clubby's going to take us on a 3-dayer. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this bike does those longer tours. This little double-ended dry bag in the end. And this Mojave bag. After the 150 kilometre blast down the freeway, the bike's first real mileage was 8.12 litres for 150 kilometres, or 18.5 kilometres per litre. I have a light load on the bike, but if you were loaded up for a camping trip, the bike would sag more and it would be almost vertical. That's the lean on the KTM 890. And this is the lean, you know, from the side stand on the Desert X. If I was buying this bike, I think I'd have to shorten that side stand by
a centimetre and a half, because once you get weight on this, it just pushes the bike down, and I reckon it'll have a tendency to fall over like that way, because that side stand's just a squidgen too tall. Now, it might be great on a road bike, but on an off-road bike, you can really see it there on the Kato, how much the Kato's leaning over. And he's got a lot more weight than me. Let's have a look at the... Yeah, even the... Yeah, look at the T7. See, they're leaning over a bit more as well. What do you reckon?
That's what it should be.
Yeah, hang on. Let just hold it. Yeah, so that's it. That's what it should be. Like a bit more. Like, oh... Yeah. Anyway.
You know what?
That doesn't cost much.
It's an angle grinder.
You deserve the moon. Wish I could bring it home to you. Baby, you deserve the moon.
One of the strengths of the Ducati traction control and other electronics is that they can be switched between modes in about 4 seconds on the fly, with the added advantage that previous personal settings selected are kept.
Clubby! Here's a great test for a bike if it's got good dirt manners. This gravel, you know, it's about, well, 1.5 inches thick. No, beautiful stability in that. And that's what I mean. Ducati have nailed the dirt handling of this bike, without question. But the funny thing is, there's more to adventure than just dirt handling. Okay, so 11.55 litres for 200 k's, I think. We're in Tumut. Tumut's an interesting place for adventure riding because you're right on the base of the mountains, and as the locals talked to us last night, they were saying this is Adventureland, and yeah, we've heard that a bit lately. I've been saying Adventureland a bit, but there are some places that just have it all. Tumut's one of them. Good accommodation at a reasonable price. You know, you get twin share, and you come across from Yass, and now, you know, we're very close to the high country and snowfields. So we're only a couple of k's out of Tumut, and you know, this has some brilliant roads and tracks and trails. Lots of potholes to dodge on these roads at the moment. That was in third then, and I was pulling away at about 3.2. Charlotte's Pass. That's rain, that's not sleet. Probably doesn't look much on the video, but it's really testing out the bike and testing out me. Yeah, I've had a couple of strong G-outs now. I just bottomed the rear suspension for the first time. It wasn't a crunch or anything like that. But it certainly hit the stopper. I reckon a few of us have had a few heart starting moments. I know I've had a couple.
I see Enduro mode as a real strength of this bike in that it opens up accessibility to riders who are less familiar with the dirt. It offers a useful bridge for road riders to transition to the dark side to get their leathers dirty. Also, less experienced riders can benefit greatly by this mode that is more intrusive with ABS, traction control and engine braking systems. But intrusive is probably not the best word, as the system is seamless and sophisticated, and for the most part intuitive. I rode in Enduro mode for a number of hours in different conditions. It keeps you safe. But on one occasion I did find its limitations on a very tricky, steep descent in sand and blue gravel with a sharp left-hand turn.
On this track I found the limitations of Enduro mode. Some of the surfaces coming into very tight corners is sand and round pebbles, and yeah, the ABS was just too intrusive. You know, I was trying to get the background and I couldn't do it, because what I wanted to do was just slide the back out a bit to get around the corner. And so I'm back in rally mode now and feeling much more confident on the bike in these surfaces. Yeah, Clubby came off a minute ago. Some of the turns just have handfuls of blue metal on them, and you know, you don't know when they're coming up. They're so unpredictable.
And whilst I took Enduro mode to its limits, there is no way a less advanced rider is going to be riding into a steep downhill off-camber corner full of sand and gravel at those speeds. So I'm confident Enduro mode at lesser speeds would have nailed it. And this is the beauty of this bike. It looks after those new to the sport or riders of the lesser dirt skills, but allows me to go to my happy place in rally mode. I've personalised the setting and I just feel at one with this bike in the dirt. You don't often hear me say that in a test, but that's the reality of riding this bike. Its fundamentals of handling are completely aligned to how I ride.
This is a great example we're just about to do. So we're on tarred road at the moment, and there's dirt up there, and I just want to stick it back in rally mode. So hold the button, go to rally, there it is, hold it on, and it's in. And it maintains all the settings I had before. Beautiful.
Most adventure riders fall off at low speed, and it's usually got to do with them not being able to stabilise the bike with their feet, or the bash plate of the bike gets hooked up on a rock, log or a muddy gutter. The Ducati seat is adjustable, and the lower setting allows me to place my feet almost flat on the ground, which is great for this sort of stuff. The other advantage the bike has is its high ground clearance, a benefit of the engine configuration, and that allows me to get through this muddy gutter without the bike getting hooked up.
That is so big, that mud.
I've given the suspension an opportunity to bed in, but on roads like this, the imperfections of this surface are not being absorbed by the suspension, and I'm seeking to make it more plush.
So, Clubby, you've just had a little bit of a blast on the Ducati again. You're not liking the trail feel? Too hard?
Oh, it's just edgy, mate.
Edgy.
It's too firm on the little stuff. Anything with an edge.
All right.
It feels edgy.
So we've employed an engineer to help us. Yeah,
This guy?
Decimal. Yeah, he's a qualified
Decimal,
engineer.
He's more than qualified, and he'll tell you how qualified he is.
Yeah.
No. It's just let's stick with the tools.
All right.
All right,
So
get the
all I
job
want
done.
you to do
Okay.
is take me back 2 clicks counterclockwise, left and right, and I'll give that a run and see if that makes a difference.
Okay. So we're listening for the click.
Yeah. You've got to get it in first. Yeah.
It's too fat, that bloody blade.
I don't think it was. I think it was just your insertion. Your insertion was awkward.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you had an insertion like that in some other circumstances, you might get a divorce.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
That's better.
Yeah.
I could feel it, right?
Yeah. Well, there is no clicks.
No clicks.
Okay, just make it one whole turn back. That's one whole turn. Let's just leave it like that.
Okay.
And one whole turn back on that. Hang on, let me come around, decimal. Yeah, just one whole turn.
Okay. That's half.
Yeah,
That's one.
beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's try that out.
Okay. Yeah, there was no clicks. I didn't feel any distinct clicks.
No.
You can see a little boulder in there, and I've watched a few of you get
Twisted around.
twisted around, and I thought, oh.
Yeah, I tried to avoid it. It still got me.
Yep, it got me.
I saw bushy going up, but I avoid that. It still bloody got me. Well, it's definite. It's true, and it's a real phenomena. Fuel anxiety does happen. I have it.
Right.
Now?
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are hot, sweaty palms, a bit of flushing around the cheeks,
Right.
the propensity not to put too much throttle on now.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that. It's been very quiet.
Yeah, keeping the revs down.
Dave's fuel anxiety, don't you just love it, particularly when it's not you? The Ducati comes with a 21 litre fuel tank, and I'm consistently getting a range of around 370 k's. Ducati also offer additional fuel tanks that hang off the rear of the bike and extend the range to over 500 k's. These tanks weren't available for testing, but I hope to come back to the Ducati when they become available.
How's this for an adventure road? Look at it. See it winding down into the valley and then up. Just fantastic. And these last 3 days have been just brilliant to get out. You know, you just, all your burdens get lifted when you're on an adventure bike, and, you know, travelling through country like this. So, time to reflect on the Ducati. I've done a couple of thousand kilometres on the Desert X now, and Ducati's first attempt at that mid-range twin, they have come out swinging. And they've nailed the suspension, they've nailed the handling, they've nailed matching the engine to the bike, and they've nailed the ergonomics. And you think that if you've nailed all those things, that would make this an outstanding adventure bike. Well, dirt-oriented adventurers are a little bit picky, and there's a couple of places, rooms for improvement, and I'll just quickly go through them. The first is air filter access. Dirt adventure riders expect to be able to change air filters themselves, and it's not going to make, even a oil foamed air filter is not going to make 15,000 kilometre service intervals if they were riding, you know, with a group of people. Peter Mansfield did it. He was riding by himself, and even then, you know, the mud collected in that air filter was significant. The other thing is, you need to spend a little bit more money on this. Yeah, 24/7 you get it for in Australia, but you know, you're gonna have to buy crash bars. They are essential to this bike. I mean, on all adventure bikes, you always have to buy aluminium framed handguards. I mean, that's just a must. And once you do those two things, this bike becomes a little bit more resilient. If I was buying this bike, I'd also buy the off-road bash plate for this bike that you saw on Peter Mansbridge's bike. I mean, it's beautifully integrated with the crash bars. And then you're starting to get somewhere close to having this adventure worthy. But like with all new models that come online, the consumers have to get used to the bike, and they have to work out problems and get around them. And you know, I know there, for example, are pre-filters that Unifilter make now for the air filter. But again, you're going to have to get close to that air filter box to change those over.
I got the brand new Nikes on my motorbike. I take it up to 90 just to feel alive. I'll keep on riding till reality is out of sight. 93, 94, 95. I'm at a beach.
I've raved about the outstanding capability of the traction control. It's world class. And it's brilliant how riders can change riding modes in about 4 seconds. But the function of the TFT screen is to seamlessly link rider intention to the bike's performance, and in presentation of that information there is room for improvement. The most obvious being that when standing on the pegs in bright sunlight, I couldn't read whether I was in Enduro or Rally mode. And whilst I appreciate the screens for each mode setting can be personalised, there is tons of opportunity to simplify them. This is particularly so for the Rally mode. By its very nature, the riders that will be choosing Rally mode have a higher skill set. There is repetition in the presentation, for example fuel settings and range. One line of information would be sufficient. The most likely thing the riders using this mode would want to do on the fly is change traction control. For example, when you suddenly come upon a mud hole and you want to quickly increase control of slip to gain traction through the mud. There's a whole heap of space on the Rally screen being wasted on things that I don't believe are meaningful or useful to many riders. That said, I like the way how wheelie, traction control, ABS and engine braking settings are set out in one line. At the end of the day, if Ducati want to take the crown in this mid-size market, every feature of the bike has to be better than its competitors. I would have liked to have seen illuminated switch blocks as well. So, straight off the showroom floor, is the Ducati Desert X Dirt Adventure ready? Well, it's pretty close. In addition to outstanding dirt and street handling and great traction control and comfortable ergos, it's got a number of fundamentals right. Low seat height, great ground clearance, strong fuel range hovering around 370 k's in mixed conditions, excellent foot pegs and good headlights. But like all bikes, it needs some work. In my order of priority, crash bars that not only protect the tank but also the water pump housing that sticks out proud. Aluminium handguards, an off-road bash plate, a foam air filter combined with you doing some homework to find out how to change it because it's not going to last for 15,000 kilometres. Shave off 1.5 centimetres off that side stand and while you're at it, weld a bigger foot plate. And whilst the windshield gave me minor vibration, a lot of riders don't have any problems. If I were buying the bike, I would be heading to Ducati to try the touring screen. Finally, I have a sneaking suspicion that I would end up having a suspension specialist sorting out trail feel. Although I remain forever hopeful it will soften up after a while. And now some homework for Ducati. They've nailed their first attempt at a mid-sized adventure twin, but they've landed themselves amongst very strong competition. Ducati now need to align the Desert X's form and function to dirt-oriented adventurers, even though most of these bikes will be ridden on the blacktop in Europe by riders only dreaming of dirt adventure. Dirt adventurers like to do basic maintenance, including changing the air filter, tightening the chain and other minor stuff. Give them the opportunity and make it easy to do, and while you're at it, recognise that if you're riding dirt you need a foam air filter and provide it at the time of delivery, not as an optional extra. Now, did I mention loosening the rear axle nut to tighten the chain? It needs 186 Newton meters to undo and do it back up. Just to put that in perspective, that's over twice the force needed from its competitors. So unless you're a gorilla or haven't got an extended wrench, getting a flat in the outback is going to be challenging. Fortunately, there are solutions, and Peter Manbridge has one. For those dirt-oriented adventurers who love their Desert X's, Peter is pretty important. He's just crossed Australia east to west and return on the dirt, a total of 13,000 kilometres. His no-nonsense interview of his dirt experience with the Desert X is excellent. Click the top right of this screen to get the link to this video.